Hey guys, Danny Johnson here, and I just want to give a quick overview on the Ford Mustang Mach 1. So these were available on the New Edge body style for 2003 and 2004. Now, appearance-wise, it was pretty similar to the Mustang GT as far as the bumpers, the side skirts, rear bumpers, side scoops, everything like that. Where the main design came in, as you can tell from here, is that hood shaker. Okay, so the shaker is actually the same casting as I believe it was the 69 and 70 Mach 1. So it looks identical. It's really cool that you have the hole in the hood. So the hood opens up around it. I'll show you that in a minute. But this is a functional shaker. So the air goes in and then it's channeled down to the air intake to give cooler air. I also just love this hood. They didn't stop at just putting a cool shaker on it, but you can see how many levels this hood has as it goes up. So like the Mustang GT, it goes up one level, but the Mach 1 doesn't stop there. It goes up another level and then the shaker on top. So the shaker's cool because every time you step on the gas, it will shake to the right. As you add power. Now, appearance-wise, everything else on it looks pretty similar, like I said. Now, this one has some 03, 04 Cobra mirrors on it, which are the export mirrors. The Mach 1s did not come that way. Those were added. Now, the Mach 1 also, it's really cool that it's one of the only Mustangs that ever came factory as a V8, but still has the running pony on the side. So that's a really cool thing there. Now, the 2004s had the 40th anniversary badge, which all the Mustangs got except for the Cobra. The wheels are also called a heritage wheel, so very reminiscent to the Mach 1's original wheels for that time era. The chin spoiler and the Mach 1 stripe. But I love the Mach 1 stripe, how it starts off and says Mach 1 on it, but then as it goes out it fades. That looks really good on a white or a yellow car as well, where it really sticks out.
The Mach 1s came with a special shock absorber from Tokiko. The Mach 1s also had the brakes that were pretty similar to what you'd find on the Cobra at the time, twin piston, I believe they were PBR, 13-inch rotors, and so that did definitely help a little bit over the standard GT. Now the GT had twin rotors for 99 2000, but went back to a single, so it depends on what year you had, but these were similar to what the Cobra had.
The Mach 1s do sit a little bit lower than the GT from the factory. The Bullet sat a little bit lower, but the Mach 1's even lower than that. Going around the back, they also went to a blacked out matte wing. So the rear wing it's a matte color, so it's not just black. Then you got your specific Mach 1 letters, and that's reminiscent as well of the older ones. So again, the rear bumper is pretty similar to the Mustang GT. It's basically the same bumper. The exhaust on this does have SLP Loudmouth 1, so they're a little bit longer, or a little bit bigger, but the Mach 1 did get rolled tips, which look really cool if you see some factory Mach 1 exhaust. Something else that's different on the Mach 1 is the C-pillar. So you can see right here, this goes and cuts straight down. On regular Mustangs, it comes down like this. So this is a different window. As you can see with this window tint, see how it's cut out differently? So the side, the quarter window as well as that C-pillar is different. That came from the Bullet Mustang. In fact, a lot of the styling cues for the Mach 1 came from the 2001 Mustang Bullet, because they did the retro on that, and it worked so well that they decided to go forward with it. So going into, first of all, that view, I love that view. I remember sticking my head like this in the dealership when I was younger and just seeing that. And I'm so glad that I have this car. So looking at the interior on the Mach 1, there's a few things to mention. The only upgrade you could get was the interior upgrade package, or IUP, and that came with a few things like the silver door posts, the silver section in the center console, larger headrests, And you know, that's about it. I have a video I can show you all those pieces and how to install them in the video description. But coming in here, what you notice first of everything is the gauges. So you do get the retro style gauges, and they basically took that from the Bullitt Mustang. So these are meant to look like the older cars.
You also notice the silver trim bezel.
The red line, as you'll notice, goes to 6,800 RPM. Now that's for the 5-speed cars. If you got an automatic Mach 1, it was bumped down to, it was under 6,000, like 5,800 RPM. And they say that was to save the transmission from trying to do a full RPM shift in its highest gear, that it could hurt the transmission. That's what I've heard, but I'm not sure if that's true or not. The automatic cars also got the cast crankshaft 6-bolt, where 5-speed cars actually got a different engine slightly. The 5-speed cars got the forged 8-bolt crank that they use in the Cobras. So that really shouldn't limit RPM though. Usually that's more with the valve train. The steering wheel has the running horse, so a traditional Mustang steering wheel. You do have these aluminum pedals, and that was something that they also had taken from the Bullitt Mustang. Interior upgrade package cars got the silver center section here, but the rest of the Mach 1s would still come, if it wasn't an IUP car, it would still come with this shift knob. So this is specific. It's basically the same as the Bullitt 5-speed shift knob there. Gets pretty hot. Now the seats themselves are very special for the Mach 1. If you have the interior upgrade package, you have the larger headrests. If not, you still have the regular seats, which were the Comfort Weave. Very large bolsters on these. They're very comfortable. They keep you in place a lot better than the stock GT seat. The styling you can see with the silver stripe on it, and that's meant to look like the original Mach 1. Now, these seats, for the most part, they're pretty similar to the 01 Cobra or the Bullitt seat, just with a different pattern in them. But the rear seats match as well. That nice silver stripe on them. Other than that, it's pretty much the same as your traditional Mustang interior. The light switch I have on this is aftermarket, otherwise you just get the regular Mustang one. But that is the view, that beautiful shaker looking over the hood. When I was in high school, I'd stick my head in the showroom and see that, and I was just loving that beautiful hood, how it goes up several times, then you have the shaker on the top. There were some special colors offered on the Mach 1, like Azure Blue, that only came on the Mach 1. Other than that, you had white, you had Oxford White, Dark Shadow Gray, Zinc Yellow, Screaming Yellow for 04, Torch Red, Competition Orange for 2004, and black was also a Mach 1 color, which is cool because on the black cars, the stripe kind of blends in with the black and you kind of have to really look to see it. Now, under the hood, this is where the Mach 1 really shines. You get the 32 valve V8. So very similar to the 99 or 2001 Cobra engine. It's not exactly the same. The cylinder heads are revised, and I have a whole video on cylinder heads and what they mean with the casting, so I'll put that in the video description. But for 2003, the Mach 1 was rated at 305 horsepower. However, it's really not much different than the 2001 Cobra engine, and so it would make sense that it actually does make 320.
And they were putting these on the dynos and finding 285 horsepower at the wheels.
So it was really a 320 horsepower engine. There's talk that it may have been reduced because the 03 Cobra was rated at 390, and they wanted to separate that number a little bit more, as well as Ford was also being very cautious to underrate rather than overrate for problems they had with the 99 Cobra. So under here is pretty much factory, other than a cold air JLT intake, but you can see where the shaker system comes down and feeds the intake there. So going a little bit back to the engine here, everybody says, oh, it's the same as the Cobra engine, it just doesn't have the supercharger. And that's not entirely true. So first of all, it's an all aluminum engine. So you have an aluminum block. Now the aluminum block is not the same as the 99 or 01 Cobra. It was the Windsor assembly plant aluminum block, the WAP block in these cars.
Now, to get technical, the 99 Cobras had the Texid block, which was a heat-treated, much better produced, stronger block. You're not going to use anything more than 450 horsepower at the wheels without a rebuild, so it doesn't really matter that much. But in 2001, some of the 01s had that same Texid block, and that's when they started to phase over to the WAP block for the Cobra.
And so that's the Windsor, Ontario, Canada plant engine, so a little bit different there. Now the crankshaft is the 8-bolt forged crank if you have a 5-speed car. If you got an automatic Mach 1, it went to a 6-bolt cast crank. And so cylinder heads are identical to the 0304 Cobras. For 03, you got the 4-thread spark plug heads, and then in 04 it would go over to a 9-thread head. Now my brother has had several 03 Mach 1s that were late builds and did get 9-thread heads. So that is something that can happen. Connecting rods are going to be very similar to that of a GT. That's going to be the weak link. You'll hold about 450 rear wheel horsepower before those snap. So it's not the same as the 0304 Cobra engine with the forged connecting rods.
The Mach 1s also have a compression ratio of 10-1, which was pretty high at the time. The 0304 Cobras were 8.5-1 because it was supercharged. They wanted it to be a little more safe. By comparison, the 2001 Mustang Cobra had a 9.85-1, so it did go up a little bit on the Mach 1.
Look at this beautiful hole in the hood from the shaker sticking up. That's really cool how that worked out. Okay, so again, I put the different mirrors on mine. Otherwise, you'd have the factory GT mirrors on that, just black mirrors. But that was something that I wanted to add. So that's basically the Mach 1 5-speed manual TR3650. So in 2001, that's when Ford switched from the T45 to the TR3650. So all of the 01 Cobras got it. All of the 01 Bullets got the TR3650 as they were later builds. And from then on, the 5-speed for the new Edge was the TR3650. So all Mach 1s have the TR3650 5-speed or the automatic. Okay, let's talk about the rear end real quick. So these came, which was a huge upgrade over the 99 and the 01 Cobra. These came with a 3.55 rear axle ratio. Still 28 spline, so that's kind of a weaker link, but it's a solid rear axle. It is not independent rear suspension. So with that said, it's actually a little bit lighter than an 01 Cobra. And I like the solid rear in it. It's just maintenance free. Don't have to worry about as much.
And so the Mach 1s were actually getting into even the high 12s during testing. And that's perfect scenarios, but it's a 13-second car, over 100 miles an hour in the quarter mile, usually 105, 106, something like that. And I had no trouble getting 13s out of mine in Las Vegas where it was really hot. And this was before I knew.
have the honeycomb piece in here with what they call the corral that goes around the horse, the silver trim. So this is what they would refer to as a Mach 1 delete. So it's similar to the 99 and the 01 Cobra bumper. They had the floating horse and the grill as well, but the 99 and 01 Cobra, actually this piece here is molded into the bumper. So this is just, you know, basically a GT bumper, so it has this extra trim piece here, but it allows the horse to be free floating like the 0304 Cobra. So it is a 17 by 8. So it's 245/45 ZR17 tire, and they did come with the Goodyear, just like this one that's on there, Goodyear Eagles. This does have drilled and slotted rotors. They did not have that from the factory. So initially they actually wanted the 2001 Mustang Bullitt to have the 32 valve V8, but SVT wasn't giving it up. And so there was a little change made by the time the Mach 1 came out, being that the Cobra was supercharged now. For 0304, that might have been part of it, but the Mach 1 did get the 32 valve V8. Also with the Bullitt, they would have to do more crash testing and some other things if they wanted to change a lot of the body pieces, so they stuck with the GT bumpers and everything that would not need to be crash tested again, and that's probably the same going for the Mach 1. In pre-production, you do see more of like the 0304 Cobra side skirts and some other things, but in the end, appearance-wise, the Mach 1 is basically a Mustang GT with a better hood and a different rear wing and a tin spoiler, and of course the shaker and those C-pillars for the rear glass. So anyway, thanks for watching, and if you guys have any questions, let me know, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.